For much of the 19th century, the American Southwest was a battleground between the U.S. military, Mexican forces, settlers, and the Apache tribes who had lived on the land for generations. Few figures embodied this struggle more than Geronimo, the Chiricahua Apache medicine man and warrior whose name became synonymous with resistance and survival. To his people he was both healer and prophet. To his enemies he was a ghost-like adversary who always seemed one step ahead. The legendary fugitive. The famed Apache medicine man and guerrilla fighter became so skilled at evading enemies that many believed he was shielded by supernatural powers. By the summer of 1886, Geronimo was once again on the run. Having broken yet another promise of surrender, a tactic he often employed, he and a small band of loyal followers were pursued across the harsh deserts of northern Mexico. Nearly a quarter of the U.S. Army, some 5,000 soldiers, along with 3,000 Mexican troops, had been dispatched to track him down. Among the Chiricahua Apache, Geronimo was revered not only for his healing abilities but also for an aura of invincibility. His reputation grew with each narrow escape, making him the prime target of both American and Mexican forces. For a quarter century, he remained beyond their grasp, his story becoming legend in newspapers and among his people. The campaign of 1886 marked the U.S. Army's final effort to end decades of conflict with the Chiricahua Apache, who had long defended their lands in what is now Arizona, New Mexico, and northern Mexico. After the U.S. seized vast stretches of this territory, following the Mexican-American War of 1848, settlers and soldiers poured in, sparking bloody clashes. The turning point came with the Bascom Affair, when a botched attempt to negotiate the release of a kidnapped boy led to mutual atrocities. In 1862, Cochise retaliated with an ambush at Apache Pass, igniting the long Apache Wars. Geronimo was there not yet a chief, but already marked by his reputation as a medicine man who seemed untouchable in battle. Powers attributed to Geronimo according to Apache tradition. Geronimo's seeming invulnerability stemmed from a divine blessing. After Mexican soldiers killed his wife and children, Geronimo prayed in grief on Bowie Peak. He later claimed that the god Usasin promised him protection in battle. "You will not die by bullet or blade. I will guide your arrows." Later stories told of his body scarred by dozens of bullets yet surviving. Some believed he could foresee the future, perceive distant events, or even manipulate time. Legends describe him extending the night through song to cloak his warriors' movements, or sensing attacks on distant comrades. Masters of survival. There were more practical reasons behind Geronimo's long resistance. The Chiricahua were deeply familiar with their rugged homeland, having lived for generations as nomadic hunter-gatherers. They survived by raiding, taking supplies, horses, and sometimes captives, a practice central to their culture, but despised by settlers and soldiers alike. Their unmatched knowledge of terrain gave them a decisive edge. U.S. General George Crook, despite his reputation as an Indian fighter, admitted their strengths: sharp senses, stamina, mastery of the land, and persistence in danger. To improve his odds, Crook even recruited Apache scouts to track Geronimo. Though Geronimo still managed to escape time and again, the Chiricahua's use of horses also set them apart. Unlike the Plains tribes, the Apache treated horses as both transport and food. Geronimo often pushed his mounts to exhaustion, covering up to 70 miles in a day, before slaughtering them for meat and stealing fresh horses from ranchers or cavalry posts. Newspapers reported on Geronimo's raids that netted thousands of horses, including entire cavalry units' mounts. Geronimo's escapes. Surrender for Geronimo was never final. He accepted terms more than once, only to break away when life on the reservation proved intolerable. At San Carlos, raiding was forbidden, alcohol outlawed, and traditional life suppressed, conditions that drove Geronimo and others back into the mountains. Sometimes sheer luck favored him. In 1886, as Captain Emmett Crawford closed in with Apache scouts, Geronimo was prepared to give himself up. But before he could, Mexican soldiers mistakenly attacked Crawford's unit, killing the captain and scattering the pursuit. Geronimo, watching from a nearby hill, reportedly laughed at his fortune. The final surrender. That September, with his people captured and his family already sent east, Geronimo finally yielded to General Nelson Miles. Promised reunion with his loved ones in Florida, he spent the rest of his life as a prisoner. For years he was paraded as a curiosity posing for photographs, appearing in Wild West shows, and even riding in Theodore Roosevelt's inaugural parade. Yet freedom never returned. Geronimo died at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, in 1909, at the age of 79. Still, legends persisted. One story claims that not long after his burial, Chiricahua comrades secretly retrieved his body and returned it to their homeland. If true, it would mean that even in death, Geronimo slipped beyond the grasp of his captors.